for me, the stuff that matters most is making politics feel good again. I know that that's very broad, but I think coming out of the 2016 election campaign, there was a lot of divisiveness, right, and a lot of negativity, and I wanted to change that a little bit. But on both sides of the aisle, I think there was a responsibility to turn down the heat, and I think the constituents that we all represent deserve that as well. I think politics in and of itself, the system and the media that thrives off that system thrives off of divisiveness, thrives off of conflict, whereas politics should be making about people's lives better. And so there's that tension that I think all of us here are trying to solve. There's really never been in my lifetime like a truly functioning like two-party democracy, right? It's just been a lot of bickering back and forth, a lot of divisiveness. And so for me and for the people I talked to in the Kansas Future Caucus, I think we actually crave some sense of unity, some sense of coming together to solve problems that we don't get from a lot of the older legislators in Kansas. So I think that thirst to come together on something is important. The Future Caucus does, like I said, a better job of listening to each other, and so rather than people who have been there a long time, who've been waiting a long time to get into positions of power, and then fulfilling on that, I think getting younger people in there and into positions of power, they haven't been there as long, they're not quite as entrenched, and so we can create different types of relationships within the legislature, and I think again that creates better policy. So I introduced a right to repair bill in Kansas for ag equipment. I remembered from my very first Future Summit meeting Representative Hornberger out of Maryland, who is kind of in the inverse position of me. He's a Republican in a supermajority Democrat state with a moderate Republican governor, so literally the inverse of Kansas. And so he got a hearing on his right to repair bill, and so I reached out to him. I was like, hey Rep, we met a couple years ago. Can you tell me how your hearing went? What lobbying groups came in? Like, what's the strategy? And so he's very open to it and kind of told me everything that he went through. And so that was just kind of a very small way of how you get people in a room, like-minded people, again, across an age vertical in a room, and things just kind of blossom from there. So sometimes magic just happens. It's just meeting a new generation of young leaders and then seeing the young leaders I met before kind of in new and cool roles, right? That's one of the benefits about being a young legislator. One time, the first time, you're having a drink with a couple people, and then 3 years later, they're in Congress or they're governors or they're running for Secretary of State. And so it's really cool to see people blossom in their roles that you've met before. And I look forward to continuing to do that.